Let's begin today's Vanguard news with giving old fishermen what they always wanted, apparently, an encounter deck for Alk. Clearly fishermen wanted this, and not because Borgia Road has been using her art illustrator to be the one making the mascot for their big events. Costume idol Alk, while on Vanguard during your turn, gives all your front row units 5k power if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or higher and you have another copy of her in your soul. Then they get another 5k power if you have 4 or more damage. While on Vanguard, you can pay 1 counter blast at the end of the battle she attacked, and she was not placed during this battle phase, to write another copy of her from your hand, but she loses 1 drive. And once per turn while on Vanguard, return 1 of your rear guards to hand, then call up to 1 card from hand when she attacks, and if she was placed during the battle phase, and at the end of the turn, return up to 1 copy of herself from your soul to hand. She doesn't have a dedicated ride line due to the amount of useless commons and rares they had to cram in the set, so use Coral's ride line reprints, and her ability basically makes it that you'll need to have at least 2 copies in hand if you want to get that persona ride power on top of using her superior ride attack. And I can't be the only one who finds it ironic that the card whose entire aesthetic revolves around wearing different costumes doesn't have a dress up mechanic. Even her ability is very reminiscent to Youth Burke's RevolDress. It's like the card's artwork all or doesn't matter, and they just slapped an ability onto it to call it a day. It's also ironic that this is the second encounter deck that can't use Primordial Heartblaze, with Minerva being the first. The Regalis piece supposed to support encounter decks can't support them. Exploring New Frontiers Soraya while on rear guard gets 5k power if your Vanguard was placed by your card's ability this turn. And while on rear guard, you can pay 1 counter blast and retiring herself at the end of the battle she boosted, and you persona road that turn. To add an Alk card from your solo drop zone. Oh look, the main issue I said earlier immediately got remedied in the same set. And to make sure the poor Lyrical Monasteria player gets a persona copy back, it also lets you get 1 from the drop zone instead. And people still wonder why I keep saying this nation is never fucking punished. Craft Wreath Kuro Ronet while on rear guard or the Guardian Circle gets 5k power and shields if you have a Mermaid Vanguard. And while in the drop zone, you can bind herself if you have a grade 3 or higher Alk Vanguard and you haven't bound a card with the same name as her this turn. To add up to 1 Alk card from the top 7 cards of your deck, you soul charge 1 card instead if you did not add a card with this ability. Unlike Zarya, this actually feels fair, since it can fail despite being able to use her from the drop zone. Ring My Bell Croshe when placed on rear guard by your grade 3 or higher Alk Vanguard's ability gets 10k power. Then you can pay 3 energy to return 1 rear guard in the same column as her to hand, then call a card in hand to an open rear guard in the same column as this unit. And while on rear guard, you can pay 2 soul blast when she attacks, and you revealed a grade 3 Alk card from your eye deck, or have a grade 3 or higher Alk Vanguard to draw a card. That first ability feels so tacked on due to how conditional it is that requires to be called with Alk's battle phase ability. I would even as to recommend other options, if not for that draw ability. Prism on the water Meditoa gets all of her effects if you have no cards in your G zone. When she's discarded from hand during your Ide phase, you can pay either 1 soul blast or 3 energy if you revealed a grade 3 card with a clan icon from your Ide deck, or have a grade 3 or higher Vanguard with a clan icon to draw a card. And while in the drop zone, you can remove 2 copies of herself in your drop zone if you have a grade 3 or higher Vanguard with a clan icon to countercharge 1 damage. The card that broke Bermuda Triangle back in the day and created deck out strategies that had 0 counterplay finally makes her debut in standard. Luckily, all she does now is be an extra energy cycler that can countercharge while in the drop zone. In a nation that recently got to order cards that are the equivalent of a Regalis piece. For those who don't read their cards and grafted their effects into their long fishing rods, Alk gets her MSP where the card text is just a bunch of fish text. And people say I was crazy that I claimed the nation are an invasive species when they have their own Klingon language. Finally, Sweet Link of Ratis LSR was late to the reveal party for getting too high on their white powder. And that concludes this Vanguard news without the bullshit. Special thanks to my Patreon members for continuing to support my content creation. Be sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments If youth Burk players started to sell off their decks due to a fish in a costume,